So no matter what the shape will ultimately be, that's how you start with the cone?
Yeah, well, you cone up like once, twice, or 3 times. It's just a way to get like align all the particles, get them centered and in a circular way, and then you push it down, not straight down, but towards the side.
I want to feel your muscles when you know.
And then you cone up again. Oh gosh, good work. I'll be ready for biscuits.
You'll burn your biscuits.
Cone up again. I mean, it'd be better if you saw like Leslie or Megan or something do it.
I'm very happy to see you do it.
But even just centering it and coning, that is the hardest part. It took me so long, and I still have a really hard time centering the clay perfectly. You know when the clay is perfectly centered when you don't have to ask. Like if you go like this, it'll just feel like butter. There will be it'll just be a perfect circle. And so I'm not going to center the whole thing, so I'm just going to throw off the hump because that will be easier. Because if you throw off the hump, you don't have to center the bottom, which is the hardest to center.
Okay.
You can just...
So it's also, you're also controlling the speed of the
yeah.
reel.
I push down on it. So, okay. Now I can like take a section that I want to make into like a little bowl or a little cup or something. And I just focus on centering this.
Just the top part.
Yeah.
And that's just by how it's feeling.
Yeah. Like, here. Do you want to put your hand on?
Yeah.
So I'll spin it. If you put your hand just like this, it's almost centered, but not perfectly. Like I could throw it this, but it wouldn't.
Wet my
Yeah, wet your hand and then just like hold the top. So it's not perfect.
See, that feels perfectly centered.
It's almost perfect. It's very close to almost perfect. And then, but it's gonna be good enough for now, so we don't have to do this all day.
Good enough for
so then I kind of just make a little lip. And then the first thing you do is make your hole. So you can do it, and there's tons of different ways to do it. I usually just do it with my 2 thumbs. And you want to go deep, but not as deep as the outside. So I do that, and then, and you know, when you're really good, you can do this in 5 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of different ways to do it, and I do it in like 8 different ways. And then the next step is like defining your rim, so you kind of put your fingers in and you define what the rim is going to be, how shallow it's going to be, and that will of course make the shape. And then once you define your rim, that's when you start pulling, and you just do it in a series of pulls.
Are you really pulling, or are you just squeezing?
I'm squeezing and going upward.
Squeezing and pulling up, yeah.
Like that, and you have to keep going.
This is fascinating.
Do it all the time. And then you go like this, and it's important that you keep your rim pretty thin, because if it gets too heavy, it will start flopping, and the centrifugal force will knock your bowl off center. So you just keep going, and the thinner you get it, the more likely it is to start getting floopy.
So what if you go too far and it's too thin?
And then it will just probably collapse. But you can always just take a thing and trim off the top and start again.
Okay.
And you also want to keep scraping away, taking away the you don't want to let water sit in the middle, because that will create S cracks, where if there's too much dampness, it will crack later, like while it's in the kiln. And so then you just do that. And then the next thing, so the rim is off, but is to define the rim, and then sometimes you take like a chamois or sponge and you kind of will pinch it to smooth it out. In this case, I would take a pin needle because it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And then basically, at this point I usually stop, but if I spray over like right now, I try to go thinner, which is really risky.
Right, because now I can see it's sort of wobbling.
Yeah. And then, you know, you can try to like bring it in, or you can try to, it's too long. You can try to flare the lip like that.
Oh, I wondered how you did the flare. Well, that looks really nice.
And then what you do is, so basically, after that, what I do is I just kind of undercut it like that, and then to take it off. So like this, you cross it over, pull, and then you would have a board and you would pick it up like that, twist it, and set it down, and then you would let it, and then you would trim. You see, you trim this when it's leather hard.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Thank you.
Very nice.
There's nothing like Madeline. Thank you.
That's
Goodbye.
a hole.